From the Flying T Studio at Roxo Media House, this is Frogs Today, with special guests Hector Gutierrez, head coach of the TCU Beach Volleyball team, Fellowship of Christian Athletes Director Chauncey Franks, Frog third baseman Brayden Taylor, and our headliner, the Hall of Famer LaDainian Tomlinson. And here's your host, the voice of the Frogs, Brian Estridge.
Welcome in. It is another edition of Frogs Today. I'm Brian Estridge, and boy, do we have a lineup for you here, including a headliner like none other. We'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes. But let's reflect back. Had the Final Four last week, of course, down in New Orleans. Big 12 represented by Kansas. Some great college basketball games. Think about this. So who played Kansas better than anyone in the country? You have to look at TCU, don't you? The Frogs obviously beat them once, lost to them in Lawrence, and then the Big 12 tournament, we know how that turned out. Here is now Kansas, national champion. That has to put in perspective for us, doesn't it, where TCU basketball is right now under head coach Jamie Dixon. By the way, congratulations to Coach Dixon and his assistant coaches. All got new contracts, deservingly so, from Jeremiah Donati. Good to see our man Tony Benford, too, by the way, the assistant head coach. Maybe it's associate head coach. That might be his title. Anyway, TB got himself a 3-year deal. And we're excited to have these guys around now as Jamie Dixon. Shopping a little bit, has a couple of spots to fill, obviously with Mike Miles' decision and Fran Farabella's decision. But this roster, I think, is going to be okay. And you got to like where TCU basketball sits right now. I guess the other big news was the announcement that Bob Bowlesby, Big 12 commissioner, will be resigning here shortly, retiring from that position. Big shoes to fill here. A lot of folks look at that commissioner's job. That's a no-win situation. That's a tough job. And a lot of people look at the job that Bob Bowlesby did and question a couple of moves here and there. You had Oklahoma and Texas obviously announced that they're going to leave. I think Commissioner Bowlesby did a really good job in his tenure at the Big 12. The thing about Bob Bowlesby is he brings people together. There's an old phrase back in the South where they said, we got to all be singing out of the same hymnal. And that's the one thing that guys in the Big 12 have done over the years under his leadership. Kudos to him. Best of luck in the future, and excited to see who the Big 12 turns to now as commissioner. We're going to fill you in on all the other news of the week. Maggie Hell's going to have that a little bit later on. We've got Hector Gutierrez, who just happens to have his beach volleyball team number 2 in the country. Great conversation with him coming up. We're going to meet one of our TCU baseball guys. They're going to stop by as they continue their run through the Big 12. Big announcement about an event coming up that'll honor the past here at TCU, maybe in a way that we haven't done before. We'll get into that. And our headliner, gentleman by the name of LaDainian Tomlinson. Will he be in the gold jacket? We'll find out soon enough here on Frogs Today. But right now, we start it all off with the news of the week, and we do that with Maggie Hale. Maggie.
Thanks, Brian, and a lot to catch up on this week. Starting us out strong, Caitlin McNabb representing the Horned Frogs women's golf team at the Silverado Showdown. Making a statement, McNabb finished runner-up, her third runner-up finish of the season. And TCU Baseball snapping their losing stint in Arlington Tuesday night against UTA. The Frogs ran away with the game in a 10-2 victory. We'll be seeing them in action again tonight down in Austin to battle number 7 Texas. And if you're making the trip down to Austin this weekend, be sure to stick around Saturday to watch the men's tennis team. The number 3 Frogs will take on the 11th ranked Longhorns. TCU has been dominating the Big 12 as they come off wins against Texas Tech and number 4 Baylor Bears. Also in action this weekend, the women's beach volleyball team, standing at number 2 in their rankings after their first loss of the season to USC. The Frogs will work to get back on track this weekend with a long weekend in Tallahassee. Be sure to join us next week for the recap. And let's go ahead and send it right back over to Brian.
Our next guest on Frogs Today has a terrific story that actually made me do a little work this time. If you please would welcome the head coach of the beach volleyball program here at TCU, Hector Gutierrez. Hector, come on out, my man.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Hector is the only guy that I know from the Canary Islands. I mean, that's That's a long way away, my man.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
A Spanish archipelago, right? There's about, what, 8, 9, 10 of those islands off
Eight.
There are 8 of them?
8.
Off the coast of Africa.
Uh-huh.
How long did you live there?
27 years.
So
28
you
years.
kind of grew up on the Canary
Oh, yeah.
Islands.
Born
So
and raised.
if I ask you what a parrotfish is, you know what it is.
Uh-huh.
You eat parrotfish.
I mean, we do. We
Yeah.
fish them too.
They're fun to do, right? Yeah. Do you miss home at all?
I do. I mean, the lifestyle is different.
Yeah.
You know, when you grow up in an island and you like every day,
Right.
like that's the backyard, and you got your sandwich in your backpack and your sandals after school, and go to the beach though, and it's a different pace too.
Yeah. Island time, right?
Huh?
Everything's on island time.
Oh
man.
yeah, everything island time. Friends are there, family's there, so I really enjoy when I go back.
Yeah. It is a Spanish territory, right?
It is.
And then you spend a lot of time in Spain.
Uh-huh.
So I guess that's there's your tie. That's why do a lot of folks from the Canaries end up going to Spain.
Yeah, I mean the mainland is it's kind of far if you go by boat, of
Right.
course. By plane it's like around 3 hours.
Okay, not too bad.
Not too bad. So I mean we're pretty well connected too.
Yeah.
Every island has an airport and everything. So but we're really familiar. When I play there professionally, we travel a lot to the mainland to play.
Did you?
So, yeah.
Did you play in mainland Europe, or did you travel to Morocco
Both.
to play Africa?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. We did both.
Wow, that's awesome though. The Canary Islands, y'all they have cable TV and internet and everything, right?
Yeah, they
I
do.
was looking it up, man. It's plush there.
I know, it's great.
It might
It's
be a
like
vacation spot.
It is. It's a big vacation. I will compare it to like what Hawaii means to the
Yeah.
mainland here.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same.
Do folks in Europe travel to Canaries as
Yes.
if it is kind of like
A lot
that?
of UK people, northern, like from Sweden,
Yeah.
Norway, because the winters there are tough.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So they go down south and spend like months there.
How often do you get back?
I try to go once a year.
Do you?
With COVID, I couldn't
Yeah.
for 2 years,
Right.
but I was there this past Christmas.
Oh, that's cool.
With my family. So that was the first time that we went as a family after COVID, and trying to go once a year.
You've seen the world. I mean, you grew up in the
Yeah.
Canary Islands, spent some time in Spain. Then when you were coaching Slovakia and Germany in international volleyball, were you living there as
Yeah.
well? Were you spending time there?
Yeah, I spent like pretty much you go and live there for 7-8 months out of the year. You travel around the world too because of tournaments.
Right.
It's like I compare it with the tennis as well.
Yeah.
Every week you're somewhere different. But yeah, the hub, my house was in Germany and
Right.
in Slovakia. And I went home. We do a lot of like training camps, excuse me, in the Canary Islands because that's where a lot of top European teams go and practice. And yeah, it was like Canary Islands, Germany, Slovakia, around the world, for a couple months out of the year.
How many languages do you speak?
Only 2.
Yeah,
Only
English
2.
and Spanish.
Yeah.
So Germany, you had.
Oh, English. I'm trying to.
But did you have an interpreter in Germany, or did they?
No,
most
they
of them
all
speak
they all
English?
speak English though.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So
all speak
Slovakia as well.
English. Yes.
Most of them speak English?
Yeah. I mean, not all of them, but the players do because it's the international tour.
Yeah.
That's how they go with the main language. Everybody speaks English.
Most important question. I mean, you've lived in Texas, you've lived in Florida, you lived in California, you've been in the Canary Islands, Germany, Slovakia. Who's got the best food?
Oh, Spain. So far, yeah. I mean,
Tapas,
a little flavor, that more to choose from.
Yeah.
A lot of good food though. I mean, I can complain the food here.
Right, right,
Don't take me wrong, but you have the fish, the meat, all the Mediterranean. In Spain is a little bit different.
The best thing about in Spain when you go and you're ordering drinks there is you get food free, right?
Yeah.
Essentially in the bars.
They get you somehow.
Yeah. They're getting it. Yeah. You're paying $33 for the drink,
Exactly.
but you got a croissant out of it.
Yeah, they want you. I guess they want you to stay there as long as you can.
Yeah.
So they give you a
But I
little
think
bit.
that's a great concept, man.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's about to go and enjoy your time. It's a lot of outdoor going in the sense of like go to a restaurant and go outside.
Right.
And not just go to eat, just to hang out as well.
You dine, and that's usually late at night too,
Yep.
right? Later
Yeah.
at night,
Like
There-
10 p.m., 11 p.m.
Yeah, I think there are two things that the Spanish do. They have it right. One is that, and the second thing is the siesta.
Yeah.
I love the afternoon.
But this funny part is I don't take siestas here. I don't have time.
I know you don't have time here. I know, but in Spain they'll shut it down for a few hours, right?
Yeah.
You still see it in Cuba and places like that. too.
Yeah. I mean, before it was more. Now it's less, but it's still like some people go back home after work. I mean, I think it's at 1 p.m. and come back at 4.
Right.
And work from 4 to 7 and
Yeah.
take a little nap at home. You
Yeah.
know, but you see less than that nowadays, but it's still.
Yeah. Our producer's giving me a hard time. We got to talk volleyball. I could talk to you all day about all this other stuff. No. But here you are. You're sitting at, 28-1, number 2 in the country, even though you beat number 1 2 times. I mean, who's doing the polling here? I mean, it must be a bunch of football guys.
I don't know what else to do.
Yeah, what else can you do? But last year was a great year. Finished number 8. And you really built off of that with a great mix of both Hispanic, international, and also local players as well, right? It really has tied in nicely, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. I mean, it's been, as you said, like from the last few years, especially last year when we, kind of break through it and went to the top 8. It's been difficult because only 8 teams in the country until this year were allowed to go out of almost 100. So the percentage was pretty low. This year is 16, so they open it a little bit more, which is great. But as you said, like the mix with local kids and internationals will help us to make like a huge improvement in the last year and a half.
Well, think about it too. You play in the only league in the country that has College of Charleston and LSU in it. You know, College of Charleston, LSU, Florida State, right? Am I getting this right? UNC Wilmington.
Yeah. We're in the middle there.
Yeah. Kind of worked it in
the
there.
CCSA, I know. I don't know how we get in there, but we're happy. I think they made us better. You know, we got in a conference that we have a lot of big schools. South Carolina's there too, another ACC school. So. And when we get there, when I got the job here, I knew that was where we were heading, and I was happy about it. I mean, the competition was tough, but it made us better because I don't want to lose, and our girls don't want to lose. So the only way was like trying to fight harder back, even like we know regionally it doesn't make any sense for us, right? But I'm happy where we are now, and that helped us to get here.
The atmosphere at your games is unbelievable. Even Coach Dykes was out cooking hamburgers, wasn't he?
He came down, and that was awesome. That was great that he wanted to come and help us out. We built that atmosphere there that people can come and see good level of beach volleyball and have a good time. It's like family friendly, everyone comes with their dog, with their babies. They sit down around there. They have, we got food out there.
Right.
A little bit of music going on and during the game.
There's a lot of music at times.
The weather has been really good this year too. But one that was really cold. But more than that, it's been great, and we're just looking forward for the next home game. Yeah,
looking forward to that, man. I really appreciate you coming by.
Of course.
Can we do this again?
Oh, anytime.
I got a lot more I got to talk. I got to learn a lot more from you.
Anytime.
When you come by. By the way, Hector is the answer to the greatest trivia question in TCU athletics history. Do you know that?
No.
Who's the only coach at TCU to never lose to another team from the state of Texas?
Wow.
You've never lost to a team from Texas, have you?
No. Let's keep it that way.
What are you, like 26-0? Something like that against Texas schools?
Yeah. I think so. I haven't counted, but I have to take your word.
He's never lost to a Texas
That's
school.
good. That's good.
Keep going.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll figure out a way to get to number 1, right?
We will.
It's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard.
You know what? You might just have to win the whole dang thing.
We will.
Yeah.
Apparently that's the only way, right?
That'll be okay.
So, but I'm okay with it. The girls are doing a great job. And right now, the seating is what it is.
Yeah.
But we just want to be one at the end of the year.
All right. Hector Gutierrez, the beach volleyball coach here at TCU. Coming up next, Chauncey Franks is going to join us from the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. There's a big event coming up. We want to fill you in on the details on this. You're going to want to mark your calendar. We do it next when Frogs Today continues in a moment.
Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Richard's Rainwater. Richard's Rainwater is 100% rain, refreshing, renewable, and the only ingredient we use in our water. Why rain? Because everyone deserves access to clean water, and rain is a 100% renewable resource available everywhere. Drink the rain. Save the planet. Shop now at richardsrainwater.com.
The Flying T Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student athletes. Flying T Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T Club or online at flyingtclub.com.
On her new video podcast show, Curb Appeal, TV personality Kirby Schnorr talks about everything that appeals to her most with her best friend and City Boots owner and founder, Lizzie Bentley. Joined by their friends and special guests, they cover fashion, food, music, art, and Western culture while giving you a behind-the-scenes look at their lives, favorite places, and things to do in Fort Worth. Curb Appeal drops new episodes weekly at curbappealshow.com or anywhere you get your podcasts. Curb Appeal is a Roxo Media House production.
Every Sunday is Family Day at Lupton Stadium this season. Family Day includes dollar hot dogs, a Super Frog Kid Zone featuring face painters and inflatables, plus an ice cream helmet giveaway at the gates. After the games, the first 150 kids can run the bases and get autographs from the entire team. So grab the family. Come out every Sunday for Family Day at the ballpark. Presented by All Saints Episcopal School and Old South Pancake House.
Back to the Flying T Club studios we come. Our next guest is one of our favorites, folks. This guy's making a difference on the TCU campus and in the world as well. Terrific father, great husband. We're honored to call him a friend as well. With a big announcement here today, please welcome. He's got some big title, character, life coach. Anyway, he runs the FCA at TCU. His name is Chauncey Franks. Come on out, Chauncey. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, brother. How you doing,
Man. Always a pleasure, yes. This guy is doing great work. What is that title? It's about that. It doesn't fit on a business card. What are you doing?
It's too much, but recently I stepped into a new position where I am the Fort Worth Metro Director. So I will oversee the growth of FCA, all of Tarrant County, up to Wichita Falls, Aledo, Mansfield, and Arlington, and still simultaneously overseeing the ministry here at TCU.
I love that. So the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, for those who don't know, you have folks on campuses, high school campuses,
yes, sir,
all around the Metroplex, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And some of them are labeled in certain areas, right? Districts. Others are at specific schools, aren't they?
Correct. Yeah, we have huddles, what we call, and we have huddle sponsors. So we'll have a coach or a sponsor on a campus who oversees the FCA ministry there, and we'll have local representatives who go train, disciple those individuals that they can do the ministry of FCA on those campuses, high schools and junior highs across the Metroplex area.
I love one of the things that you've told me over the years, and this makes my heart smile, is when you hear from schools who don't have a huddle.
Yeah.
And they'll call you up. How do we get one of those?
Yep.
Or you've got a coach who gets a new job.
Yep.
And goes into a school that doesn't have an FCA huddle. And the first thing he wants to do before he decides on the playbook or what the uniform is going to look like is, how do we start an FCA huddle? That's pretty amazing.
So true. FCA brings a lot of value.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look into things that young adults and coaches and individuals are facing today, what FCA does is help bring a biblical truth and helping our students to have a better worldview of who God called them to be and who their identity is, to not to become a part of this world, but to live separate of this world as they are living in this world.
There are, and we could say this about young people everywhere, anytime, there are a lot of challenges that young people face. When you talk to them, you hear some stuff that makes your heart hurt, don't you?
Definitely.
I mean, how do you deal with that?
I think sometimes shock. I think sometimes it humbles you. Sometimes it makes you realize that, man, that the importance of being grounded, the importance of a family structure, the importance of a mom and dad, the importance of a young adult's foundation. And if we can be a part of positively impacting their life, man, that's humbling, because, man, you are now changing the trajectory of what the rest of their life will look like. If they go to college, if they get married one day, what type of husband, what type of wife they may be, what type of parent they're going to be. And I think FCA has that impact because I've seen it before. I've seen kids that we've touched their lives in junior high, and now they're in their 30s, and they look back at that moment when they gave their life to the Lord through FCA that has totally radically changed their life.
I've never seen any data, empirical data on this. This is an observation from me. I feel like the teams, and let's take TCU for example.
Yes.
The teams that are more proactive when it comes to FCA, the teams that are tighter in that organization, are more successful.
I totally agree. I mean, if you bring it here, I mean, you look at the Rose Bowl team.
Yes.
I mean, that was a walking missionary team for the most part.
Yes, it was.
I mean, you had, Andy Preacher Dalton. You had so many other guys who had great character. And even in 2014, I mean, you had a group of guys where going into that season, we took the largest group of football players to our annual collegiate camp that we do in Glen Rose, Texas. And so if you give me a group of guys and girls who are at least pursuing the heart of things. What that says to me is that there's a level of maturity, there's a level of responsibility, there's a level of not playing for themselves, but they're playing for God, and they're playing for their teammates.
There's your recruiting tool right there. I mean, you just go to the coach and say, you want to win a conference championship?
Hey,
you got to do the FCA.
FCA, simple
You got
as
to
that.
bring us in. All right, big event coming up. I want to get into
Yes,
this
sir.
because you mentioned the Rose Bowl team.
Yep.
And really, for the first time, we got a chance to honor that team at an event that you're putting on. Give us the details on it.
So our annual FCA banquet is going to be April 28th. It's
Right.
going to be in the indoor practice facilities. Program will start at 6:30. We'll have 7 members from the Rose Bowl team that will do a Q&A with you. They'll share that experience, and then we'll probably have somewhere between 30 to 50 the former Rose Bowl players in the audience hanging out that night, sharing memories. And the thing that I love about that event, it's our EPSI, it's our Academy Awards.
Yes.
It's our opportunity to share what God is doing through the ministry of TCU FCA.
Yeah.
And we'll hear from Coach Sonny Dykes, and then we'll also hear from our student athletes who will share with the ministry of FCA and the impact that it's having on their life.
So the Rose Bowl guys will be there. Coach Dykes is going to tell you the role that Jesus has played in his life, which
Correct.
is pretty impressive
Yep.
to hear him talk about that. Then the student athletes who are on campus right now.
Yes, sir.
He says it's like the Oscars, and it's a lot better than the Oscars, man. It is a lot better than the Oscars. I'm looking forward to it. It's always a great event. All right, give me the dates again because we want to put this up on the screen.
So the date is April 28th,
Yep.
indoor practice facility. You can find out more information at tcufca.org.
All right, man. He is doing amazing work. Chauncey Franks, you and your staff, you got a great team.
We do.
I know, and we need to brag on them as well.
Man,
so
we have a phenomenal team, the best FCA collegiate team in the nation.
Right. Final question, most important one. The best barbecue in Fort Worth right now can be found at.
Man, Panther City.
I knew he was gonna
Get the
get it.
greens.
Yeah, see, he's always got a place. Good to see you, man.
You too, brother.
All right, Chauncey Franks joining us here on Frogs Today. Still to come, LaDainian Tomlinson, our headliner. But first, Brayden Taylor from the TCU baseball team, the third baseman. He joins us next when Frogs Today continues in a moment.
Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Richard's Rainwater. Richard's Rainwater is 100% rain. Refreshing, renewable, and the only ingredient we use in our water. Why rain? Because everyone deserves access to clean water, and rain is a 100% renewable resource available everywhere. Drink the rain. Save the planet. Shop now at richardsrainwater.com.
The Flying T Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student athletes. Flying T Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T Club or online at flyingtclub.com.
Hi, this is longtime Fort Worth Star-Telegram journalist Mac Engel inviting you to join me for the Engel Angle podcast bi-monthly on Wednesdays with guests from the world of sports, entertainment, and general interest. I'll bring my unique perspective and an entertaining spin to every episode. Listen anywhere you get your podcasts or at engelangle.com. That's ENGELANGLE.com. The Engel Angle is a Roxo Media House production.
Frog fans, TCU Baseball introduces the Frog Flex Pack. This new edition this season gives fans the flexibility and power to decide what games they want to attend. The TCU Baseball Frog Flex Pack gives fans 10 vouchers to redeem for GA tickets at any home game this season for a low price of just $80. That's right, $80. Be sure to purchase your very own Frog Flex Pack today. Call 817-257-3764 or visit gofrogs.com.
Frogs Today continues. Our headliner, LaDainian Tomlinson, is going to stop by here shortly. But first, when we were visiting earlier with him in the green room here at the Flying T Club studios, one of the things that Brayden Taylor told us was, why am I not the headliner here today? We'll treat him like that as we welcome the third baseman for the Horned Frogs, Brayden Taylor, to the set. Brayden, come on out, my man. How are you, buddy?
Good, how are you?
Good to have you, man. Grab a seat here. Let's visit.
Yes, sir.
All the way from West Jordan, Utah
Yes, sir.
to Fort Worth, Texas. How does that happen?
Just playing baseball, playing travel ball, and they just got to see me playing in Arizona. And then, life happens. Now I'm here.
So you're playing travel ball in Utah for a team, big tournament in Arizona. Had you had any contact with TCU prior to that?
Not with TCU, no. I had a teammate on my team named Joey Dixon. He was a pitcher, and he started that game, so Coach Sarlos was out there watching him.
Right.
Then he ended up seeing me play too, and then he texted Coach Mo and said, "Hey, come watch this kid play," and then that's how I got in contact with him.
Now the word on the street is that Coach Mo loved you, and that Coach Mo wasn't going to let you up. Is that the way it rolled out for you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I love talking to Coach Mo. My first conversation with him was awesome because I had no idea who he was. I didn't know much about TCU before even talking to him. But then, talking to Coach Mo it was awesome, and it felt like good from the beginning, so it was awesome.
There's some decent baseball, by the way, in the state of Utah. Utah, BYU, Utah, others that play it. How'd you get out of the state? How'd they let you out?
I don't know. I mean, I only had a few offers. It was just BYU, Utah, and here.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like I made the right decision. When I came on the visit here, it just felt more like home than anything. I mean, it was tough leaving home because, man, I love Utah.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful state. But, just coming here, it just felt like I belonged. I felt like I would fit in here. It was awesome, so I loved it.
Speaking of coming home or finding a home, you coming up, you were a shortstop predominantly, right? Now at third, give me some sense of the comfort zone there for you.
It was definitely a switch for sure, but I had some experience playing third base. It's definitely a lot different position because balls get hit a lot harder and it's more of a reaction. But I felt like it was a good transition. Like I'm still able to play short. I'll play wherever they put me.
Yeah.
So and I love it.
Yeah, freshman of the year in the Big 12, by the way, is Brayden. Give me some idea. Kirk Sarlos now is the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about him being a player's coach.
Yeah.
And that should not be taken as a negative because there's no one more intense or competitive than him, is there?
Right. No, Coach Sarlos gets after it. I mean, we all love having him as a head coach. I feel like he's just really there for us. I feel like, all of us would want to go to war for him. Mm-hmm. So it's a really good feeling when you know that he's behind you when we're in the dugout.
Yeah, this team, you can kind of tell there's a brotherhood you're
Mm-hmm.
building. It looks as if you guys not only spend a ton of time on the field and in practice and workouts getting ready for it, but off the field as well. This is a tight-knit group. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. Coming here, I didn't really know anybody, but once I got involved with the team, it's like I gained 40 new brothers.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I've made some of my lifelong best friends here, and I just love every second of it.
What do y'all do outside of baseball? What do you do for fun?
Well, we don't get much time outside of baseball. It is a really busy lifestyle, but what we like to do is, for the most part, is just relax. Like, sit on the couch, watch TV.
Right.
Sometimes, we'll go out and just go hang out with some other friends. Like, what's great about TCU is it's not just a baseball team. Like, we've made friends with other sports teams, like women's soccer, volleyball, beach volleyball, basketball. It's awesome. It's a really, really tight-knit community. And it was a big point of me coming here was I saw that. And so I wanted to.
Are you into video games or anything like that?
I love video games.
Oh, yeah? What are you into?
I play a lot of Call of Duty, Fortnite.
How do you stack up on the team? Like, are you one of the better ones?
I would consider
Would other
myself,
guys admit that?
Oh, yeah. Other guys would definitely admit if I asked them.
Yeah, if you ask them.
If I ask them.
Yeah, if I ask them.
They might tell you that I'm better than other teams.
Okay.
So
yeah, I like that.
I'm just.
So if video games in your downtime, you come from the state of Utah, I'm sure you love the outdoors, man. Coming from the state of Utah, do you get a chance? Baseball guys play golf all the time, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that's what you guys did in your downtime.
Yeah, we have a lot of guys that go out and play golf.
Yeah.
I haven't been as much. I'm not that good.
Yeah.
I swing a baseball bat left-handed, but I golf right-handed.
Okay. So
it kind of flip-flops. So I just haven't had much time to practice, but I love to. Whenever I go out, I love to play. I can see myself getting better, but I just don't have much time to go out and play.
It was good seeing your mother and your aunt, I
Mm-hmm.
think, were here last weekend for the series. I know that was fun for you to have them in the crowd, wasn't it?
It's always awesome to have family here. It was good to see my mom and my aunt. I don't get to see them often just because I'm always down here, and it's, tough for them to get out here as well. But
yeah.
It's always very special when they come out.
You, what are you majoring in?
I'm a major in communications with a minor in business.
What do you want to do? Do you know?
Not anything specific yet. I
Yeah.
want to kind of stick around baseball, kind of like be that way. Maybe like coaching somewhere.
Coach, front office,
Yeah.
something like that.
Something like that.
Maybe a TV analyst, something
Yeah.
like that. You want to do the TV thing with us?
Yeah, if y'all offer me, I could try.
All right, let's do it right now then. All you got to say is LaDainian Tomlinson is coming up next on Frogs Today. Can you do this, Brayden?
All right.
Do it. Go.
LaDainian Tomlinson is coming up next on Frogs Today.
I think you got a future.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Really
That's legit.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you so much.
All right, Brayden. We'll do that after we do this.
What do you call a Fort Worth-centric podcast featuring guests of international, national, and local fame? Fortitude FW. Why catch the latest episode? Because every guest has a story to tell. Join hosts J.W. Wilson and Brenton Payne every Friday for the latest stories from noted Fort Worthians in business, sports, lifestyle, entertainment, law enforcement, politics, and, well, you get the idea. Fortitude FW, where the stories never die. Listen anywhere you get your podcast or at fortitudefw.com. Fortitude FW is a Roxo Media House production.
Crooks, criminals, killers. These stories of crime and punishment in the 21st century Western society, as told through the lens of retired Fort Worth Vice Cop Jake White and investigative journalist John Henry.
Catch a new episode every Saturday anywhere you get your podcast or at signal51chronicles.com. Signal 51 Chronicles is a Roxo Media House production.
Frog fans, it's time for Friday Night Lights at the Carter. TCU football is set to host their spring scrimmage Friday, April 22nd. So bring out the entire family to enjoy this free event. Take advantage of happy hour specials at the concession stand all evening. And after the scrimmage, enjoy a fireworks show, followed by team autographs on the field. Gates open at 6. The scrimmage kicks off at 7. Can't make it to Amon G. Carter Stadium? No worries. You can also tune into ESPN Plus for a full telecast of the event. For more information, check out gofrogs.com.
FrogsToday.com is the ultimate TCU sports fan community. Members enjoy exclusive content from inside the locker room, feature presentations, access to athletes, coaches, and alumni that are making headlines, and a live show featuring Brian Estridge. Join us and an interactive sports community full of Horned Frog fans now at FrogsToday.com. Frogs Today is a Roxo Media House production.
Well, our next guest on Frogs Today needs no introduction. The most popular horned frog, I'm going to go ahead and say, of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please welcome the Pro Football Hall of Famer, LaDainian Tomlinson. LT, how are you?
I'm great, Brian. It's been a while since we've gotten a chance to talk, so I'm glad to be able to sit down with you in this brand new studio.
Well, I'm honored that you would be here because we wanted to christen it with you. We thought, you know what, we'll start at the top with it. I want to spend a lot of time talking about you, and I know that sometimes you and I've talked in the past. You'd rather talk about other stuff. Yeah. But there's a couple of things that I want to make sure that folks who are maybe being introduced to LaDainian for the first time know. And let's go way back first. We'll rewind things. You're growing up outside of Waco. You're 7 years old, and your dad left. Mm-hmm. How has that driven you to be the husband and the father and the man that you are today?
Yeah, I think you take your experiences growing up, good or bad, and ultimately you apply them to your life, and your family and situations and experiences that you may go through. And I think, the bad stuff, obviously, the bad experiences, obviously, some of them I had no control of, including, my father leaving and my parents getting divorced. That happens in over 50% of marriages in this country. But I think the other thing is, you learn from those experiences how you're going to do certain things better when you're in that position, And so the other thing, I think, you understand the responsibility to the folks around you, your family, right, as you get older. And I certainly understood as my father left, and then ultimately my father passed, after my 6th year in the National Football League, I became the patriarch of my family, at that age. And so it wasn't without mistakes in dealing with family and friends. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think you just do the best you can, and knowing that all those experiences in the past has really shaped who LaDainian is today. Before you became the patriarch, there was a really strong matriarch. And she has been. I mean, your mother is pretty special. She's a special woman. Yeah. And, it's funny because now I'm able to reflect, now that I have kids, I'm able to reflect on certain things that she did consistently with me and my siblings that really had a profound impact on the way I would live my life growing up.
Mm-hmm.
For example, my mom used to, at the breakfast table, she would read the paper and find all these news articles and stories of kids our age doing certain things, whether it was, hey, this kid got in trouble for selling drugs, or, this kid was in a gang and end up, getting killed, for God forsake, or, this kid here got a scholarship and he's gonna, read this story.
Right.
She did a great job of putting that in front of my face, and really, I think what that does is makes you understand that you are not invincible. Like, these are things that are happening to kids your age. So at the end of the day, you're gonna have choices that you're gonna have to make outside of this house that can have profound consequences on your future. And so knowing all those things, and she catered to the fact that she knew what my goals and dreams were.
Right.
I told her at 7
Early
years
on,
old,
right.
early on, what I wanted to do. So she held me to those standards and kept me accountable to what I told her I wanted to do.
Did she preach?
She did.
She
Yes,
did?
Yes.
And I don't mean just to, I'm not talking about preaching to you at home like my mama did to me.
Right.
But I mean, but she actually would get in the pulpit, right?
Yes, she would, to the entire congregation.
Yeah.
And I think those were, to see her in that light, to see her leading so many people, I think it honestly gave me confidence of, and this is who my mother is.
Right.
She's a leader. So what's expected of me? How can I go outside of this house and represent her and not be a leader, be a follower, succumb to peer pressure and all these different things that happens to a lot of adolescents, kids.
Yeah.
And so that part, now I'll tell you, Brian, it wasn't always that way. Early on, my mom wasn't the same. She hung out and she had friends. They would come over to the house and hang out, play cards, and church wasn't involved until when I turned 13 years old, something changed in her. And she became full on, into, being a Christian and obviously being a pastor. And that's when it was at the right time in my life.
Yeah.
That she did that.
Yeah, that's a pretty formative part of your growing up as a man.
Absolutely.
You talked about mistakes along the way. When you're growing up, you're coming out of high school, you're in high school, coming out of high school, and then deciding where you're going to go to college. Who were you leaning on? I mean, who was giving you the advice to stay the right path, to choose to go to college? Did you have people in your life that you could count on?
Well, I did.
Other than your mom?
Yeah, well, I did. I had some excellent high school coaches.
Yeah.
Coach Leroy Coleman, who's recently passed away, was my high school coach. And, he, along with a number of other, Walter Brown, my running backs coach, really, kind of imparted in me the importance of going to that next level and not being afraid to get out, and attack college. Because, listen, sometimes kids are afraid of failure. Like, if I get outside of my comfort zone, if I leave Waco, then I don't think I'm gonna be successful. This is all I know. And those men did a great job of instilling in me, like, no, you have what it takes. You should go off and do great things. And it was really because of Walter Brown, my running backs coach, that I think I took an interest in preparing for college so young, in the 10th grade. That's when I started to prepare for college and really think about going to the next level. And it was because of that man.
Where would you have gone if it wouldn't have been TCU?
So it was going to be maybe Baylor or North Texas or maybe UTEP.
Okay.
Now, Texas A&M, in all honesty, Texas A&M was recruiting me.
Right.
And it was between me and a running back. So I guess we have to thank Texas A&M in a way, because if they would have offered me, I don't know if I'll be at TCU.
All right, let's ask this, and we don't have to. I don't want you to name his name. How many years did that guy play in the NFL?
I don't think he did.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, 11 years in the NFL for LaDainian Tomlinson, Hall of Fame member, obviously. Multiple Pro Bowls. I mean, we could talk about all the accolades and the numbers that people remember. The 406, though. will always stand out to me against UTEP. And for folks who don't know, that was a record at the time, single game record. You come to TCU, Dennis Franchione comes over as coach, takes over after a 1-win season, and you're playing UTEP, and LaDainian touches it, and he touches it, and he touches it for 406. At the time, did you know how big of a deal that was?
I did not. I did not. In fact, I just remember at halftime, I only had like, a little over 100 yards. Like, you think 400 yards, Jesus, you must have 250 at halftime.
Sure.
No, I think I had less than 150
Yeah.
at halftime. And I remember just before halftime, I fumbled the ball. And, Coach Franchione got on my butt in the locker room. Hold on to the ball. You blowing the game. And I went back out because the last thing he said, we're going to keep giving it to you. Hold on to it. So I went back out with the mindset that I was going to take control of this game because I knew that our offensive line was dominating their defensive line, and they had 2 pros on that defensive line at the time.
Yeah.
One of them, Brian Young, who played a long time in the National Football League, and we still joke about that game to this day. But going back to that game, coming out halftime, I just remember thinking I have to make up for the fumble that I had going into halftime. And Brian, it's the 4th quarter, and the game is almost pretty much in hand. And I'm thinking, all right, it's over. Did my job.
Yeah.
I run off the field, get to the sideline, and Fran said, you're only like 8 yards from setting an all-time record in one game. And so I went back out there, and I think at the time it was like 386 maybe or 390 something. And so I got it, and I started to run off the field. And Fran said, you're about to get 400 yards. No one has ever done that. Get back in there. And so he gave me one more carry to get me over 400 yards into 406.
Has anybody, I'm sure people have asked this, how sore were you the next day?
You know what?
Heck, you were barely touched.
But the funny thing was I felt like after the game, like I can keep going. I think it was the adrenaline of all the national attention. If you remember, I mean, it was so much national attention on after that game. And so I remember going home, and a lot of the guys, in college, you think, man, let's go out and celebrate. And I said, okay, we'll go out. And I sat on the couch for a second. And it was over. I didn't go out that night, just to say the least.
That's when you that was really the coming out. You became the man at that point. Prior to that at TCU, a couple of years prior, you were splitting time with Basil Mitchell. And I like to joke that the only guy that kept LaDainian Tomlinson from starting at tailback was Basil Mitchell. Well, you could say it was Dennis Franchione too. We joked about that with him, but he was the only guy. But you and Basil had a really cool relationship. Is that still does this still exist?
Yeah, we still have a really good relationship, really good friends. And I credit Basil for really motivating me to come to TCU because on my recruiting visit, at the they usually bring in the veteran guys to have breakfast, with the recruits. And so we're sitting there, some of the recruits, running backs. Here come Basil Mitchell. He sit down with us and eating, and he's like, so where else you guys interested in coming? And so we're talking, a little small talk, and the last thing he says, well, you guys shouldn't come here because you're going to sit the bench if you come here. And I took it as a challenge, I said, okay. And I ended up coming, obviously, and we had a little friendly rivalry, a competition of pushing each other. And that's what it was really all about. But I do remember, so I don't know if you remember, my sophomore year, when Franchione first came in and it was open competition, and Basil and I was battling out, right? So I ended up winning the job. But fullbacks weren't playing well at the time.
They had to make a move.
And Franchione called us in the office, and he said, I need my 2 best running backs on the field. LT, you're big enough that you can play fullback, but I'll make a deal with you. You're going to still play running back. Single back situations, you will still be the back. Okay, fine. So about 3 games in, it wasn't going like that.
You were just fullback at that point.
Basil was, having an outstanding year so far. And And I went in to talk to Fran, and people probably don't know this, and I was about to transfer at that point, because I knew in my heart I wasn't a fullback, and I felt like high school was repeating itself.
Right.
If you remember.
Yeah, you did. Yep.
I played fullback in high school, sophomore and junior year, didn't get the opportunity until my senior year, and then now I'm at TCU, and my sophomore year I'm playing fullback again. And so I saw that in my mind as, I can't do this again. I have to prove that I'm a running back. And when I went in and talked to Fran, I said, Fran, I've done what I can to help this team. I said, but I'm not a fullback, coach. I said, I'm going to transfer. He said, no, we're moving you back to running back today.
We were just going to do that tomorrow. And it worked out since. LaDainian Tomlinson with us. The you think about, you mentioned thinking about transferring. And the state of the college game today, because of the transfer portal, because of the name, image, and likeness deals, I know you as a fan of college football. Are you worried about it?
I am worried about it, because what we have created is free agency in college football. I mean, we have always had, we know that scholarships are one-year contracts, and the kids have the opportunity to renew or not, but I think where we are now, the market is so competitive between these universities, especially with, the NIL deals, transfer portal, and all these things. I'm afraid we may get to a point where it's just the wild, wild west, truly. Like, you cannot control if a kid is going to leave or not, no matter what he's being offered.
Right.
If there's a better situation, then he's out.
Yeah.
He's out of there. And honestly, at the end of the day, what does that teach our kids?
Yeah.
To quit or to just run off on someone because there's a better situation. You think the grass is much greener on the other side. I think that's setting the wrong message, sending the wrong message, I should say. But until the NCAA does something about it, Brian, and kind of gets a grip on it, we're going to have this free agency in college football.
Yeah. You weren't paid in college. You got a scholarship.
Right.
There's value in that scholarship, is there not? I mean, you got a degree from TCU.
Yeah.
Do we devalue that when we say, oh, we've got to pay him to come to TCU?
Well, it shouldn't be devalued. It absolutely should not be. But at the same time, it's like the competitive market that NCAA has created. I mean, because think about it. It's no longer enough to just have the scholarship, Brian. If we're on the same team, we both have that scholarship, but you're driving a Benz, and I'm in a Honda, but we play the same,
right?
We're both all conference, then that doesn't equal out.
Yeah.
And so now you start having the competition and the side eyes in the locker room, which you absolutely do not want.
No. I've heard stories, and I'm not going to tell you from who. I've heard stories where schools are, a starting unit is getting paid, getting an NIL deal, and the backups are going full speed in practice. And I'm not going to say they're intentionally trying to hurt them, but they're trying to move those guys out. So then all of a sudden they're the starter and they get paid. When you start to create issues like that.
That's a problem.
That's a major problem.
That's a major problem. So what's going to happen is you're going to have to end up giving everybody something.
Yeah.
Even if it's not equal. And we know it's impossible for it to be equal. But you have to give those young men and women that's underneath those starters, you have to give them something.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I don't think we've fully wrapped our head around, in terms of the college game yet. NCAA, they really, don't understand how to wrap their minds around that part of it. But I will say, it's the old saying of you can't please everybody.
No.
So at the same time, we're going to simply lose some people.
Yeah.
Because that's just the way it is.
Yeah. You and I were talking off air about the fact that, TCU's in a position where, they have a lot to sell. You got a lot of good things going on at TCU. Now, they may not be in a position that some schools are as far as the NIL is concerned. And you pointed out that, hey, maybe TCU just has to say, here's who we are, and here's what you get from TCU. And you rest on those principles and say, hey, here's what we're all about. I mean,
yeah.
Can that be done?
I think so. I think there's a lot of really good people around Fort Worth.
Yeah.
Good business people that can create this certain type of resources and great experiences for our student athletes to make them feel like, oh man, I'm connected to this community. I'm connected with this brand. Maybe I don't want to go nowhere and try to chase, more money. And at the end of the day, we will never be able to compete with some of the brands of Alabama and Ohio State. That's just what it is.
If they want to just throw money at it.
Exactly.
Right.
That part of it.
Right.
But I think we can offer certain experiences that will be attractive to kids to make them want to stay. And then at the end of the day, a brand that you have built, and I've had this conversation with my own nephew who plays on the team.
Yep.
A brand that you have built at this school for 3 years, people know you. Why would you leave for 1 year and try to build it somewhere else?
Yep.
Those are things that kids have to decide.
Yeah.
But I think, at the end of the day, you have to have the right people advising you as well to make those decisions.
That's part one of our conversation with Hall of Famer LaDainian Tomlinson. Next week here on Frogs Today, when the Hall of Famer sits down with us, we'll talk about success and failures and how it's affected his family. That's part two next week. We invite you to be back with us for that edition of our conversation with LaDainian Tomlinson. Still to come here on Frogs Today, the round table of insiders. Jeff Wilson and Jamie Plunkett join us next when we continue in a moment.
Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Richard's Rainwater. Richard's Rainwater is 100% rain, refreshing, renewable, and the only ingredient we use in our water. Why rain? Because everyone deserves access to clean water, and rain is a 100% renewable resource available everywhere. Drink the rain. Save the planet. Shop now at richardsrainwater.com.
Frog fans, it's time for Friday Night Lights at the Carter. TCU football is set to host their spring scrimmage Friday, April 22nd. So bring out the entire family to enjoy this free event. Take advantage of happy hour specials at the concession stand all evening. And after the scrimmage, enjoy a fireworks show, followed by team autographs on the field. Gates open at 6. The scrimmage kicks off at 7. Can't make it to Amon G. Carter Stadium? No worries. You can also tune into ESPN Plus for a full telecast of the event. For more information, check out gofrogs.com. Hey, if you're looking for a fun place to host a company party or large gathering, look no further than TCU Baseball. They invite you to reserve your spot in Home Run Alley. Home Run Alley, the new and improved hospitality area at Lupton Stadium that includes 25 tickets and a covered tent with rental purchase. Additional catering options are available to purchase. Lock in your spot at Frog Alley this season by calling 817-257-3764 or visit gofrogs.com.
Now for the fun part of the show as we welcome in our Frogs Today insiders. Melissa has a day off. By the way, before we get started, fellas, we do have a major announcement here, and that we want to welcome to the Frogs Today family, the Lupton Drinking Club. They will be with us next week. We're honored to have them as part of the Frogs Today family as well. So I know you played a vital role in that. Those are guys that, if nothing else, Jamie, they keep it interesting.
They don't lack for content, we'll
Right.
say that. But they are a good group of guys that love TCU baseball, and we're really excited to have them on board.
They're going to be with us on Monday talking baseball and among other things. And I want to start with that, if I could, with you, Jeff Carr.
Sure.
I want to make sure, Jeff Wilson, that Matt Carpenter's status is understood now with the Texas Rangers. Where are we on that deal?
Sure. He signed a minor league deal to come to camp.
Okay.
Did not make the team. He had outs, I believe April 2nd. He had an out 5 days before the start of the major league season, May 1st and June 1st. He didn't take the out.
Okay.
He's going to accept assignment to AAA Round Rock. He has accepted assignment. He's available to play for them Wednesday night, tonight. He wants to go down there and get at bats. He hasn't really, if you look at his last two seasons, especially last season, the Cardinals, he didn't have a consistent at bats. If you're a hitter, you need consistent at bats. He's made some changes to his swing, so he needs to see those play out. He's not going to play every day at Round Rock. The younger players are going to get at bats, but depending on what the Rangers do with their opening day roster, there may be some guys that get DFA'd get claimed, and that's going to create opportunities. But he is going to play. He is going to get at bats, and he is intent on forcing his way into the Rangers lineup.
Is there anything he could have done to make the team?
No, and I think they told him that too.
Okay,
you know?
so he couldn't have gone out and blown it out, and still probably wouldn't have made the team.
Maybe if he'd done that, but he signed late. Spring training was already short because of the lockout.
Yeah,
he signs late. He gets to camp late. He was there maybe 3 weeks, and that just wasn't enough time. And I think that happened to a lot of guys. A lot of guys if they had been a 6-week full spring training, there would have been rosters looking a lot different than they're going to look on opening day. Okay. And I think he's one of the players. And players in his group, they're called 20B free agents. It's getting kind of deep in baseball talk, but guys like him needed more time to make their case, and because of the lockout, they didn't get it. Now
you said he's going to prove them wrong, right?
That's
what he says. He's going to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
To make that right. By the way, 2 things to note. You notice the hat, right? The lid that he's wearing. Right. He's got his Flying T Club lid on. I noticed that. Nice job there. And then rangerstoday.com is rolling out as we speak. Folks can log onto this website. It is the place to be as far as Rangers are concerned. Give us some ideas to what folks will see there.
I think we think we're going to be open for the Ranger season opener Friday. It's going to be, if you subscribe to my Substack or have been over there, same stuff, just it's going to be presented differently. A lot better. Substack's very bare bones. This is going to be like a website. I mean, it's going to have tabs and drop-down menus and all that stuff, and you can easily access stories. The content's not changing. We're still going to have Friday on the Farm with the Sunday Read, TR's Memoirs. Podcast will be in here next week, the Texas Rangers Baseball podcast, and it's all going to be in one spot.
Yeah.
And the price isn't changing. $5.99 a month, $60 a year.
Yeah.
I'm back on the road now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is as far as Tarrant County-based media outlets go, we blow away the competition. We're number one when it comes to covering the Rangers, and we can make a case for number one just as on the beat in general.
Well, the Rangers authority, I think, is the way to put it.
This is very exciting, and I'm grateful for the opportunity.
All right, check that out, rangerstoday.com. Of course, now a guy who lives at frogstoday.com and who lives in our Lizard Lounge most of the time, and we encourage you to log on to that. Jamie Plunkett's with us right now. Speaking of baseball, you were there the other night when Kirk Saarloos had a little run-in with an umpire.
Yes.
You had the video posted real fast. You talked to him post-game about it. Give me some sense as to what went on in the dugout, what led to it, and were there any ramifications afterwards?
So that last question first, I don't think there are going to be any ramifications. I haven't been able to get in contact with the Big 12 to see if they're doing anything with the umpire on their end.
Right.
But the whole situation really started to develop on Friday night. There was a really controversial ending to the baseball game Friday night. TCU, David Bishop struck out with the bases loaded with the Frogs down a run. I think most Frog fans would contest that the pitch was a little bit outside.
Right.
I think video kind of revealed that same thing. But the umpire left the field before anybody could approach him to really have a conversation about that call. Saturday morning, as the coaches are handing the lineup cards to one another and they're all shaking hands with the umpires, Saarloos has a couple of words for that umpire who had made the call the night prior.
Things like, hope you slept well.
Yeah, really, you're looking great today. You're having a great hair day, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so they have this heated exchange at home plate before the Saturday game even begins, and that just kind of sets off the rest of the weekend right there, knowing that Kirk hadn't let it go, and that umpire's kind of got a grudge now. And so on Sunday, that umpire is at second base, but he is the crew chief, so any review, he's the one that's going into TCU's dugout to review the play.
Right.
And so there was a play at home plate where a player got either hit in the wrist or the ball hit the butt of his bat. So they go in to review it. Saarloos wanted to clarify with the umpire that it was the request of the home plate umpire to review the play and not his, because coaches only get 2.
Right.
Home plate umpires can request however many they want. And so he asked that question, and of course this is all coming from Saarloos' perspective. He asked that question, and the umpire didn't appreciate that very much, got into his face, and Saarloos didn't back down there, and they had a pretty heated argument. I don't think anything is going to come out of it. I personally think it's good for a manager to step up for his players and to kind of stand his ground in a situation like that. Also, it's pretty clear that umpiring is a really difficult profession, and it's a very public profession for when you make mistakes.
My favorite part of the video was the reaction by the 2 assistants. And Winkler sitting there, right?
Winkler sitting there, and then
kind of looked over and saw it happening. Said, "I'm not involved in that. And then Coach Mo gets up at one point.
Kind of begrudgingly gets off the bench and says, all right, I'm going to keep our coach from doing something he's going to regret later. Yeah.
Right. I liked it, though. I liked the exchange. Speaking of Carlos, announced a little bit of rotation change for Texas this weekend, right?
Yes. So after the Saturday game against West Virginia, where Marcelo Perez came in, pitched 6 2/3 innings in relief, did incredibly well, really kind of stabilized TCU and allowed the bats to wake up and win that baseball game. He has earned his way into the rotation now. So he's replacing Cam Brown as the Saturday starter against Texas. So you'll have Riley Cornelio, who's been really stellar in the Friday slot, still pitching Friday. You'll have Marcelo pitching on Saturday, and then Brett Walker finishing things out on Sunday.
All right, Jamie's got a terrific podcast. You can find a link to it at frogstoday.com. Last week you spoke with Sam Kahn from The Athletic, talked about the positioning of TCU in the Big 12. I know this week you got Paul Gonzalez, one of the Frog assistant football coaches. Speaking of positioning of TCU and the Big 12, let's start with Bob Bowlesby.
Okay.
Announces his retirement as the commissioner of the Big 12. Search will be on. Going to be interesting to see who some of those names are. A lot of people are critical of Bob Bowlesby. You know, it was in a tough situation. It's a tough job. Give me your thoughts on what this means for the Big 12 in the future.
You know, I think it's an opportunity for the Big 12 to find someone who is, you know, maybe a little bit more outgoing and aggressive when it comes to understanding where to position the conference for the next big phase of realignment. You know, I think Bob Bowlesby was always fighting an uphill battle with Texas and Oklahoma as they were pretty resistant to expansion. And then, you know, however they ended up in the SEC, they ended up in the SEC. I don't necessarily fault him for that.
Right.
But he was also 70 years old and a granddad of, you know, 10 or 11 kids, and it was probably about time for him to go. I think the next person, the Big 12 really needs to find someone who is maybe a little bit more aggressive around the concepts of expansion and is ready and willing to position the conference so that if the playoff expands, the Big 12 is still kind of a factor.
Yeah, I'd like to see him kind of think outside the box a little bit, JW, because they've got not only the playoff to worry about, got a new TV deal coming up. I mean, it's a different landscape now with the NLI, you got or the NIL, I should say, and the transfer portal. All of that kind of plays into it.
Yeah, I think it's a tough time to be a college administrator and a college coach. I mean, it's everything's changing. It's very fluid. I mean, and with rosters and conferences and TV money and all of that stuff. I mean, those have always been factors, but it's not an easy job. And I kind of liken it to like a commissioner of one of the big four sports leagues. And I'm familiar with Rob Manfred in my case. He's a representative of the 30 team owners.
Right.
You know, he does what they say. You know, you wonder how much power does a guy really have, and especially when you see Texas and Oklahoma just decide they're going to leave the conference. You know, he's hamstrung in a lot of ways, and maybe take some blame that he shouldn't. So, you know, I didn't get to know Bob at all. I watched from afar. You see what the TCU Baylor sharing the division, the league title in 2014, and how that went down. How neither one of them got into the playoff. You know, kind of stings a little bit, but I think ultimately he did a fine job, and he did before he left, got the conference bolstered a little bit after their two lead ponies hopped out.
I kind of like him. I'll be honest with you. He's always been cordial. I think he's a smart guy. I hope they find somebody who's a class act like him as well.
Sure.
He's carried himself that way. Elle's giving us a wrap. She wants us to wrap it up. I got to ask one more thing though. KU wins the national championship in college basketball. TCU played Kansas as well as anybody this year. How far off is TCU basketball?
I think they're still a ways away. You know, you look at the top of the conference and
TCU beat Kansas.
TCU beat Kansas. They played tight. They beat Texas Tech this year as well. Right. And you know, you're talking about Texas Tech and Kansas.
KU's the national champion, and yet you say they're far off.
Well, you know, Mike Miles is going to the NBA. You've got to replace that production. They are, I think, set up well for 2022 because of the returning production outside of Mike Miles. But long term, when you start to build a program like this, I think the next step for Dixon isn't really necessarily to talk about national titles. It's talking about consistently getting to the tournament. Yeah. I think that's phase 2, and then phase 3 is how far can we go.
There's no such thing as long term in college basketball anymore.
That's the truth.
You know,
I don't know. I mean, you look portal. Because of the portal, but you look around too and you think about long term. How many years has Mitch Lightfoot been at Kansas?
21.
Exactly.
But he's not a special player.
He's not a special player, but he
is a good role player and a glue player, and you want
those
guys
don't
like
transfer,
that.
Though.
Yeah, they don't. Not generally. You would hope not. How far off is TCU basketball?
I mean, I think they can take a lot from this. Seeing Kansas win the national title and be like, hey, we beat them. We almost beat them at their place.
Right.
they do have to hit the portal. They do have to replace Mike Miles. But continuity in this day and age, if the other 10 scholarship players come back, that's something.
Okay. You guys haven't forgotten how that Arizona game, right?
No, I wake up in the middle of the night, cold sweats.
They were this close.
Yeah. I was there.
They were this close. They were this close. That'll do it for this edition of Frogs Today. We want to encourage you to go to our website, frogstoday.com, dive into that Lizard Lounge. These guys will be there every week talking about all the inside stuff that they come up with during the week, and then they'll bring it to us next week for another edition of Frogs Today, right here from our friends at frogstoday.com. For Jamie and Jeff and all of our crew, thanks for joining us. See you again next week.
Are you supposed to be here? Try pulling it harder.
Let me in.
Harder. Give me 1 second. Brian.
Can you let me in? What's the door code?
5. Did that work? No? Try 21.
Come on.
Brian. Someone's here to see you.
Frogs Today is brought to you by the Flying Tea Club, supporting TCU student athletes, and by Richard's Rainwater. Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Frogs Today is a production of Roxo Media House.